There are visuals from Kalki 2898 AD still bouncing in my brain. Nag ramps the visuals and background music to such a high that it gives you goosebumps. Nothing propels Indian cinema like a good mother angle. Watching Kalki 2898 AD is like being on a first-of-its-kind ride which comes with exactly two settings. The film veers between being a jaw-dropping spectacle so rousing that you cheer loudly, but for stretches, the narrative is so flat that it feels as long as the time period the film covers, about 6,000 years. But first, let's acknowledge that Kalki 2898 AD is groundbreaking. Director Nag Ashwin is creating a subgenre in which Indian mythology meets Western science fiction. So the skeleton of the story comes from the Puranas and the Mahabharata, but the flesh echoes Dune, Transformers, Star Wars, and even Fritz Lang's 1927 expressionist classic Metropolis. Like in that film, the world of Kalki is divided into the haves and the have-nots. The rich and powerful live in this beauteous floating inverted triangle called the complex, while the poor and oppressed toil below in Kashi. The first city in the world is now also the last. The Ganga river has dried up. Water is at a premium. There's only one currency called units, and you need 1 million of those to be allowed entry into the complex. God has been banned in Kashi. The world is now subjugated by a dictator named Supreme Yaskin, who seems like an ancient sage but with the DNA of Voldemort and Vladimir Harkonnen from Dune. Like him, Supreme also floats, and he also has tubes hooked to his back. Nag, who's written the story, screenplay and dialogues, has a gargantuan task. He has to set up the elaborate Kalki universe, which has 3 distinct worlds. He has to juggle various character arcs and juggle 4 superstars: Amitabh Bachchan, Kamal Hassan, Prabhas and Deepika Padukone. And somehow he also has to find time for Shobna, Saswata Chatterjee, Pashupati, Disha Patani, Anna Ben, and several cameos. About those I'll only say, all the rumors you've heard are true. Moreover, Nag must create a cinematic experience that is at once familiar and futuristic. There's the VFX and the creation of every aspect of these worlds from scratch. Everything from food to weapons to cars to clothes has been considered and created. And into this epic saga about the end of Kali Yuga and the birth of a new god, he must also insert comedy, music, fan service, and above all, Ma. Because nothing propels Indian cinema like a good mother angle. Nag's ambition and imagination must be lauded. This is only his 3rd feature film, and he's playing for broke. He's assembled an A-list team in front of and behind the camera. Production designer Nitin Zihani Chaudhary, cinematographer George A. Stojkovic, and editor Kotagiri Venkateswara Rao helped to hone Nag's singular vision. And composer Santosh Narayanan's music adds depth and scale. His notes help the punches to land, especially in the interval and the climax. With great skill, Nag ramps the visuals and background music to such a high that it gives you goosebumps. But the downside is that this high is not consistent. Nag's writing can't keep pace with his creative leaps. Kalki 2898 AD runs for over 3 hours, and it's got a lot going on. There are so many elements that need to be threaded together that inevitably the narrative becomes disjointed. Take the character of Buji, the AI bot that powers Bhairava's vehicle. The character is voiced by Kirti Suresh, who won a national award for her performance in Nag's 2nd film, Mahanati. Buji and Bhairava are like a couple. They're constantly bickering, but ultimately they're each other's protector and companion. It's a fun thread, but the repartee needed much more wit. A bewildering detour in the film is Disha's character Roxy, who appears with washboard abs on display to give Bhairava a taste of life in the complex. With little warning, the two are suddenly in that glorious world, taking horse rides and dancing at this fancy party. It's just absurd. And soon after, Roxy departs, never to be seen again. It's almost like her character was so bland that Nag forgot to write her back in. I saw the Hindi dub version in 3D, and in this version at least, the dialogue is both a little bizarre and banal. One character says, "Ye humanity ek family hi to hai." In another scene, Bhairava declares, "Ab jaakar clarity mili hai mujhe." Meanwhile, another character is describing water as swachh. There's this mix of contemporary slang, more purist vocabulary, which is just jarring. And the several cameos don't work either. Each time you register a new famous face, the illusion that Nag is trying to create breaks. It feels like he's using them as a crutch. But despite the sizable bumps, I recommend Kalki 2898 AD because there's also so much to admire and to enjoy. Like Mr. Bachchan going into angry old man mode with such panache. Ashwathama is the film's most dense character, a man doomed to immortality now seeking redemption by protecting an unborn child. Mr. Bachchan's bruised, brooding eyes convey his pain. Kamal Hassan as Supreme Yaskin delivers evil in the little screen time he has. I hope that in the sequel he will spread more anarchy. I also hope that Deepika, who is mostly just this pregnant damsel in distress in this film, will do more in the next one. Saswata Chatterjee, who gets some of the film's best lines, has this delicious edge to his badness. Prabhas has to alternate mostly between being a laid-back rogue and an action superhero. He's charming enough, but hopefully we'll see more fire in the next installment. There are visuals from Kalki 2898 AD still bouncing in my brain, like this giant male statue that takes people to Supreme Yaskin's den, or this bright blue in the weapons with which the people of Shambhala fight, or the steampunk aesthetic of the vehicles in Kashi. In an interview, Nag said that he had hoped that when people exited the theatre, they would feel strange going back into the real world because they were so immersed in the one he's created. That doesn't quite happen, but Kalki 2898 AD works as an origin story. Now I want bigger and better. You can see Kalki 2898 AD at a theatre near you.